How much is too much to spend on dry cleaning? According to the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, Governor General Mary Simon and her predecessor, Julie Payette, combined to spend $118,000 on professional dry cleaning services since 2018. We paid for that dry cleaning service. Taxpayers paid for that, despite having in-house staff on the payroll responsible for doing laundry. It's an average of $1,800 a month, by the way. To put that in perspective, it's enough to dry clean 13,831 blouses, 6,204 dresses, and, well, I got to point this out, 3,918 duvets. That's a lot of dry cleaning. Franco Terrazzano is the federal director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Hi, Franco.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on.
And let's just tack on the salary that the Governor General gets at over $350,000 a year. But it seems, listen, it just seems like this is the deck of cards, the cards we've been dealt, and we've decided this is how much it costs to have a Governor General. So, Franco, tell me more on this.
Well, who decided?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think many Canadians even knew. I didn't know that the dry cleaning was costing us $117,000 over the last couple of years, $1,800 a month. Because the problem is that we haven't decided, right? Canadians as a whole haven't decided, hey, this is how much we spend. We spend $33 million a year, given some change, for the Governor General's office in Rideau Hall. The problem is that most Canadians don't know about this, because Rideau Hall is, for a large part, shrouded in secrecy, right? I mean, you can't even have fun trying to file an access to information request to get this type of information. Now, let me go one step further. Another problem is just the culture within Rideau Hall. So not just the Governor General, this Governor General, but previous Governors General, and not just the person at the top spot, but within the bureaucracy of Rideau Hall as well. Let me give you another example. So when we uncovered that the Governor General spent almost $3 million on travel in 1 year, Rideau Hall did not issue an apology. They did not say, you know what, we'll do better. What they did is they attacked the media for covering the story.
So I'm struggling, Franco, with how you fix it. You know, I just don't know if what's the mechanism to put this kind of spending in check?
There's a few. Now, later today, I have been told that the committee within Parliament that's looking at the Governor General's expenses, I've been told that they're going to come out with a report on recommendations on what to do here. Now, hopefully the report has some very meaningful changes. We'll have to wait and see till later this afternoon when it is supposed to be tabled. Okay, that's step one. Step two, the Governor General himself or herself or who was ever at the top at the time must say, enough is enough. There is some clear wastage going on that we have to cut back. And then number three, you have the political side, whether that's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the buck has to stop with the Prime Minister, or whether that's the ministers that are responsible for some of the spending. For example, when the Governor General travels abroad, to a large extent, it's Minister Melanie Joly, Global Affairs Minister, who's responsible for that. So it's that ministerial pressure from the Prime Minister himself who should be putting a spotlight on some of this spending.
Let me read you a text message here, Franco. I want your reaction to this. So I got a note here from Susan, who writes me this. Elias, I don't know if it's me, but it seems to me that we only started deeply looking at the spending of governors general after women, and especially women of color, got into the position. Michael Jean, Mary Clarkson, never heard it come up when it was white males. Does
like
Susan
David
have
Johnston.
a post? Yeah. Well, tell me, what
like
about David Johnston?
I mean, we've been going after governors general for a very long time, for decades. We recently posted a YouTube video about the decades of waste at Rideau Hall, like the $2 million trips that Mr. Johnston took over 3 years, or the $900,000 tour of South America or the Caribbean that Mr. Johnston took while he was in the role, or the $3,000 that Mr. Johnston and his entourage spent on, what was it, lobster and sushi dinner. So, look, the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, we've been all over governors general for decades, all over the waste at Rideau Hall for decades. I mean, we've even given multiple governors general, not just, I think 3 at least, Teddy Waste Awards for some of their spending. So we've been on this forever. When I think about this topic, I think that the real issue here is the office of the Governor General. It is Rideau Hall as an agency itself. And it's the fact that you have many Canadians who work very, very hard for the income they earn, the taxes they pay. And it seems like the Governor's General office in Rideau Hall just doesn't care.
Franco, more importantly, because we've both been grammatically on point during this interview, when you go to Burger King, do you order 2 Whoppers Junior or do you say Junior Whoppers? What do you do?
2 Junior Whoppers. I make an exception for Burger King and maybe McDonald's, but you're right. When we say Governor's General, that is the correct way to say the GG in its plural form.
Okay, let me move this along here, Franco, to another topic. The proposed, they're threatening this. The federal government not happy with Canada's grocers, and they've been threatening, you don't do something, we're going to start to tax you. We're going to tax a specific type of windfall tax on grocery stores, some other type of measure. What's your reaction to a government that's looking at Canadians who are spending, they say, too much on groceries, and they feel a tax could be the solution?
I think the government needs to take a look. Right? What is the government doing that's raising the cost of groceries? Look at the federal carbon tax. The PBO shows that the carbon tax is costing Canadian farmers $1 billion through 2030 by making it more expensive for farmers to dry their grain, to heat their barns. A big rig truck driver that brings the food from the farm to the store pays about $260 every time they fuel up in federal taxes alone, right? So when the government makes it more expensive for farmers to produce the food, for truckers to deliver that food, the government is making it more expensive for you to buy the food. Now, on the grocery tax in particular, I'm over here shaking my head wondering if Trudeau thinks he found the first tax in human history to lower prices, his grocery tax. But what's so crazy about this is that less than a year ago, Mr. Trudeau was asked on CBC, he was asked if he would think about this type of grocery tax, and Mr. Trudeau said no, because, and as he put it, the tax would just be passed along to the consumer. So what has changed?
Well, yeah, what has changed?
Not the economic realities. I'll tell you what has changed. It's the political reality, right? Mm-hmm. Mr. Trudeau is now sliding in the polls. He's desperately looking for a scapegoat to cover up his own policies that are making life expensive. So he's sliding in the polls, and now he's looking for a scapegoat to go after.
What do you think could lower the price of groceries, aside from just axing the tax, as Pierre Poilievre will say? Aside from getting rid of carbon taxes, what else could governments do to actually influence the price of groceries?
Okay, that's a good question. I mentioned the carbon tax. There's actually a specific bill right now that looks at a portion of the carbon tax, Bill C-234. Okay, this bill would remove or essentially extend the carbon tax exemption to other fuels on farms, because there are fuels that are currently exempted from farmers. But this would essentially exempt further fuels on the farm, right, like natural gas and propane that is used by Canadian farmers. So here's the thing about that bill, is that our House of Commons, and every single party, by the way, is represented in this, has voted in favor to pass Bill C-234. So it's gone through the House of Commons twice, and the reason that this bill has not become law is because the Senate, the unelected Senate body, is continuing to kick the can on this piece of legislation.
Franco, thanks for putting some light on when things don't work in the country. I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you so much for having me on.
Franco Terrazzano is the federal director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation.